This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, now it's telling us that the meeting is being recorded. Excellent. Hello. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, everyone who's joining us today. This is the third presentation of day 2 of Fun Fashion Week. We're very excited for this upcoming presentation. When you see the G, you will understand why. And we're very happy to have Fun Fabric with us. We have, two of the most amazing designers here. I will leave it to you to introduce yourselves. And yeah, it's been really nice discussing what the presentation will show, getting a quick look at the typeface. Both Plamen and Pavel, I think will have a lot to say about the journey of how this typeface came to be. So I leave it to you guys. Thank you for everyone who is already on the call and everyone watching later. I will go disappear now and I leave it to you and I'll come back for the question time. And if anyone has questions, please put them in the Q&A. Thank you. And please, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I hope that everyone is doing great this afternoon. Here we are located in Bulgaria, so it's quite sunny, really nice weather, 6 o'clock. And let's talk a little bit about typography. So who we are. My name is Plamen Motev. I'm creative type director of Font Fabric, a type studio, which is located in Sofia, Bulgaria. And
hi, I'm Pavel. I'm a graphic and type designer at Studio Punkt. We will lead you further in this presentation about our collaborative project.
So what we do here in Font Fabric, of course, you may all know that we design fonts both for retail and translating messages into type for our customers. Some of our recent projects which we finished was display color fonts for Lipton tea, which is actually a brand that we worked with for more than 10 years now on their corporate typefaces and various advertising campaigns. We've just completed a huge project for Kiko Cosmetic, the Italian cosmetic brand. They have a 25th anniversary this year. So this was the situation that allowed us to make a corporate typeface which work well with their visual identity. We've made a project for Axel Springer and their corporate typeface. Recently, we were involved in a pretty adventurous affair with a startup called Vega. They're making blockchain solutions for trading assets. Also, we've worked with Frontier Communications on their corporate typeface. And last but not least, we worked with Silverstone corporate typeface for their brand. And tomorrow it will be the next presentation which will be dedicated to this project, and we'll tell more about it.
As for me, I work in Studio Punkt. This is a Bulgarian design studio focused on graphic design and type design also. We mainly do graphic identities for, especially for projects in the cultural field. So we love transforming and making identities for cultural festivals. As you see, we made the branding for Plovdiv 2019, when Plovdiv, my hometown actually, and hometown of the studio was European Capital of Culture. This was actually the reason why we met with Plamen for the first time. And also, you can see here another type design project we made in a collaboration with Type Depot, another Bulgarian type design studio, which is a project for branding of our city. And it's also a community art project. We collected thousands of handwritings of people in the city and made a type project out of this. But yeah, these are other things that we have done. Also a music festival in Bulgaria. And mostly our projects are very connected with type usage and type design also.
Yeah, thanks, Pavel. You mentioned that Plovdiv 2019 was one of the reasons we both know each other. It's for the simple reason that Plovdiv 2019 used as a brand identity typeface Uninoe, which was published by Font Fabric in 2017, and it was actually my first typeface on the retail market. Then we've met, and after that we are happy that we have the opportunity to collaborate for various reasons. I suggest everyone to go to punkt.bg, the studio's website, to check out their work, especially Pavlov typeface is a huge project with a crazy amount of work going on there, so take a look. So let's get started and let's see. The reason why we're here at this conversation and having this talk is the recent typeface that we will release just today. And let's talk more about it, how it started and what was the inspiration.
Okay, so the font called Gwen, actually, we didn't mention already, but that's its name. It started actually in 2020, exactly in the beginning of the pandemic time, in these months where everyone was working from home, quite desperate, and I was, especially me, I was in a creative gap at that time, and I didn't really work properly for some months. But then I just started this project because I needed to cope with it and to start working on something. So I had at that time a lot of inspiration to work on something like a revival or a contemporary serif project that is inspired by 19th century typography. Why 19th century? Because when you look at specimens from that time, because it was in the post-industrial era, and the businesses of people were, a lot of businesses were emerging, and people needed very bold and sharp typefaces for their branding. This is why you can see really weird and interesting fonts from specimen from that time, and especially this one I liked a lot. It is called Ronaldson Old Style, and it is actually considered to be the first typeface that is completely designed in America by Alexander Kay in 1884. This is on the left side of the slide. So as you see, it has a lot of contrast, quite interesting details, especially in the diagonal strokes, and a lot of other very odd things about it.
Yeah, that typeface surely looks amazing, and I'm certain that it served great favor to the advertising industry back then. Let's see how these features translated into our contemporary revival.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, that in last years there is some kind of revival of this 19th century typography, and maybe for me it's a bit like contrary to the low contrast sans era that was in the last decade. Maybe now it's time for the high contrast serifs. Another inspiration for the font, as we see, is also the stone carving, because I have seen in a lot of stone carving exactly these tiny details in the serifs with very high contrast that I reused also in Gwen. And that's where the name actually comes from. Gweno is an old Celtic name for the barn swallow, because I'm very much into birds, and these details reminded me a lot of the swallowtails and the elegance of these birds.
We made sure that this typeface has these details which correspond to the tails, and in a way the contrast and the variety of the typeface flies around it like swallow.
And also it comes in the beginning of Rapio, exactly when the swallows come also.
Yeah, so is it coincidence? I don't know, I guess not. How it started. Let's see how it started. First sketches, Pavel, of this amazing work.
Yeah, these are some of the first work I remember I did. I started from sketching and reinterpreting a lot of details from the specimens, also experimenting with the shapes a lot, just on my own. I didn't really want to do a revival, but just be inspired by the shapes and make something on my own.
So you see that the typeface actually evolved into a a type system, but only with uprights. But I also will have in mind this intricacies, this italic concept here, and I'm pretty sure that we will get back to it, and we will derive italics for this typeface. They will be even crazier. And I also like the haircut of this G, so maybe we will think of some alternates as well. We have a special slide dedicated to Gs after that. So how it actually come into collaboration, how we decided to do it. It all began when I saw a post on Instagram, and don't bother to find me on Instagram, please don't, because I don't post anything for more than 8 years. I'm just a design stalker, and this is like my hobby and my profession to find great designs and to get connected with people, especially if I already know them, like Pavel. And I saw this post and I saw that this is work in progress, obviously in Glyphs app. And I told him, right, okay, this looks really interesting. Do you have plans to release that someday? And I know that for a side project, especially if you do it like in your free time, it's quite difficult to finish something. It's already difficult to type designers to place end to our work and say, yeah, let's publish it. But it's even more difficult if you do it for yourself. So
Yeah.
do you imagine that you will actually?
Not really, actually. Yeah, it was just something I did during COVID because I had to do something.
Well, I thought that I must give a push, and if Pavel is up to it, let's do it. So it actually turned out that he liked the idea, and I share with him some of my vision about the whole family. And here you can see one of the reasons why we go to a certain direction, Pavel.
Yeah, the thing is, we had already this idea of a super high contrast serif, which is for extremely for display usage in large scale. But actually, we thought it would be much better if we make a whole family out of it and push things in the direction of also making a text version of these fonts.
Yeah, so we saw that approximately under 52, 48 points, it's really hard to perceive the intricacies and the details of the typeface, and it's not really functional. Yeah, it was intended for big sizes and for display purposes anyway, but I thought, okay, if we will release that, we have to do something. I don't want to just release one font style. Let's go crazy and add black and optical size, because optical size is something that can give us the flexibility to use the typeface in smaller sizes.
Yep. So that is how the optical size adjustments came on the stage. So we made this second master that you see, but then we thought it would be good to also make the more standard weight axis to make it more functional in bold and black. So we ended up with this for masters.
And how we approach the project, I've thought that first it will be rational to take the initial work and to polish the light display part, the light display master of it, to make some revisions. After that, to expand the weight possibly, and then to think after the whole display design space is already settled, then to think about expanding into optical size direction, which will allow us to use it in smaller sizes. So at the first iterations, there were some obvious things that, or not so obvious decisions that we had to make. We eliminate some of the unnecessary details. We corrected some of the letters that we thought might be fixed. And one of the most important things that we did, and which will be showed in the later slide, is that we improved the direction of the typeface. And I will go to the slide and will show you after what I mean. So this is the slide which shows the first iteration of the display style and the last one. And Pavel, if you want, you can share some of some of the process that we have been through.
Yeah, this is the first sketch and the final result in the bottom. As you can see, we pushed the dynamics and the tension of the contrast of the H, the N, more to the right, so that it gives a lot more tension to the font, and it makes it look much more dynamic. So if in the beginning it was more closer to typical Bodoni style typefaces, now it's more transitional serif. And also I experimented a lot with the letter shapes, especially with G and A, trying different proportions and details. Also the S was a letter I worked a lot on.
Yeah, I think that it was really important. Apart from, you can see the highlighted letters, how much changes they had. Something that may not many people may see is the direction of the typeface itself. You can see how the first iteration is more static, and I thought that it will be really a pity if we leave it like that. The typeface is so interesting; it has so much to show. And leaving it static, it could kill it. So I've decided that, yeah, why not trying to give direction to, and you can see on the top right corners of N, of P, of H, how we tried to improve that. Also, we gave much more dynamic proportion to the letters itself. I mean, their width, you can see how we've narrowed the S, we've narrowed some of the letters. So we have various proportions and more classical vibe, even though the typeface is not classical at all.
Yeah, so these are the final specifics. We have this classical construction in a way, as you mentioned. So the typeface is like a mixture between classical and modern in a way. We have the various contrast distribution axes. So E and O have different axes. We have this so-called forked terminal, so swallowtail shaped terminals in G, Y, and A. And yeah, of course, the extremely high contrast. And from then on, when we finished the basic set, we started with all the other attributes. So it was a lot of experimenting with diacritics, of course. As you can see, the circumflex, I did like a dozen of different versions for it until I come to the final one. So it was a very interesting journey for sure. Same with the symbols and different shapes for the numbers. I opted for lowercase numbers for the beginning, but for now it has actually only the regular upright numbers.
It definitely will be something that we will add later on.
Especially for the text.
Especially for the text, yeah, because it didn't really make much sense to make it for the display. But now, when we go into italic development, we definitely include this one to update. One of the most, one of my favorite evolutions of characters is the Pilcrow. Actually, I really like what you did here, and I think also the ampersand obviously is great. I know that most of you are really the type lovers, really like this character. I hope you enjoy it. So after we completed the extended Latin glyph case, being Cyrillic natives, we always develop Cyrillic. So here you can see that we've added the traditional Cyrillic form on the top row, Kirillitsa, which is in Russian. And we've added both also our modern oval form that we use locally here in Bulgaria in the bottom row. So both can be accessed via OpenType features.
Yeah, and Cyrillic, of course, was also a very interesting journey because translating all the principles we already invented for the Latin in this other world was very, very interesting. And I had a lot of crazy ideas for some letters, for the L, for the B, as you see. And I made a lot of sketches, of course, here, a lot of experimenting until we got the final desired forms.
Yeah, I remember actually the B is probably one of my favorite characters in the Cyrillic whatsoever. I mean, every typeface. I think this letter, especially for non-natives, it shouldn't be, it should have a great attention to it because it's not really easy to make it properly.
Mhm.
And I remember how we discussed the contrast, of course, and to me the most important and most interesting part for this bee was the tail on the top, the ascending part. I'm really happy that we took this decision. It's much more functional, I think. Yeah.
Mm.
And then it got bold and even black because we wanted to expand the weight, as we already said. And we made a couple of corrections here and there, maybe not couple, maybe a dozen, maybe even more, maybe hundreds. And then the idea was evolving and continuing to evolve. And here we are on the optical size optimizations, a slide dedicated to see what kind of adjustments we made.
Yeah, so turning all these very extreme display into a text font was also quite interesting thing. Of course, we cut off all the elongated serifs. We changed these forked terminals into vertical serifs, and also, of course, reduce the contrast. And most importantly, this thing we mentioned in the beginning, the very big tension in N and H you can see in the text typeface is on the contrary, it's much more stable and static because it needs to be so, but still has this tension. It's not like we made it completely to zero. It's still there, but not that. Yeah.
And the optical size axis give us the flexibility to use the typeface in smaller sizes, even if the typeface is not intended for huge text blocks whatsoever. But it was really fun to make even the presentation because I was able to adjust the contrast as I want with really great flexibility. And I believe that we've made a much more versatile system right now, like this. This is our favorite letters probably evolved.
It was very difficult to make the exact shape of the terminals, because the interpolation between these two shapes, the fork shaped terminal and the vertical serif, it had to be done in a good way so that the in-between interpolations also look good.
Yeah, it has to make it has to make sense. Mm-hmm. We believe like if you are making variable font, and if you already didn't understood this is a variable font, we have to it has to make sense in the middle. We cannot just interpolate whatsoever.
Yeah, it has to work in all the weights in between.
So we got display and text, as you can see from this animation. And now we can talk more about the typeface in action, meaning how we envision that it should be used or it can be used. And by the way, again, I'm really happy that we made it variable font, because here you can see that I've adjusted the axis. Even in this size, I think it works even better if we reduce slightly the contrast.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry, I'm just... Okay, we're here. So we made the multilingual support, great versatility. We have Gwen and Gwen text, both subfamilies of a huge design space here, plus variable font, which combines them. You can see how they function in different sizes, different scripts. Some really nice details from the extended language support. And how do you think this typeface should be used, Pavel? What is your point here? Yeah. What is the general idea and the intention you have in mind?
Mainly, I would say editorial packaging, also websites would be good, because anytime you need to have something very striking and sharp and something that can in a way shout, but still be classical and classy in a way. Also,
Yeah,
it would be very, very nice to use in these situations.
and it's fashionable in a way, right?
Yeah. I would
The
say
high,
so.
the high contrast gives us this kind of like fashion emotional perception that it could be used really nice in big scale typography in fashion context, but it's in the same way. It's not feminine. It's more aggressive.
Yeah, I would say it's like more edgy in a way, and provocative also. I like exactly this mixture between, in a way, classical but still very, very edgy.
Yeah,
and elegant at the same time. Yeah.
And that was us, how we vision this typeface. And I hope all of you will enjoy. The typeface is currently on sale, right, Nadine?
Yes. Yes, and actually we have a gift as well. Well, you guys have a gift. So, so the all the fonts are now 50% off as an opening launch promotion. That's very generous of you. Thank you so much. But there is a gift for everyone who's attending. I will post the link to the typeface, the super family, where you can see Gwen, the Gwen variable, and the Gwen text as well, so you can get into the different types. And if you use this gift voucher, which says Gwen, like this, all of it lowercase, you will get an extra 20% on top of the 50%. So it's a total of 60% discount, which is really cool and very generous. Thank you so much. And I have to say, it only allows 30 people, and there is definitely a lot more than 30 people on this one. So if you actually do want to use that, like, do it now, because it's a very limited sort of, gift. So we have only 30 gifts in total. So let's see. but anyway, so other than that gift and the, I've posted the link and the gift voucher. Okay, so that's done. Now it's time for questions. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the Q&A as usual. And we have, okay, so it's just from Federico, which I think you've already mentioned, but he says, sorry if you've already answered, my internet connection was not great. How many masters did you use for that? For the whole project, I guess.
Thank you for your attention, for sure, and thank you for the question. 4 masters, in a way, in the end. So we have 2 masters for the display, light and like ultra black, and also 2 for the text, again, light and black.
For master, what I would add, like some letters cannot just be soft design with the design cannot be just resolved in 4 master. So we've added, the special trick, if you're glyph app users, we've added into artificial master to, I don't know, a good amount of letters.
Yeah, like a dozen or more.
Yeah, because we wanted to make sure that interpolation is smooth. So yeah.
Nice. And so if we wanted to give, so this is okay. No, so there is. I thought there were no other questions, but no, there is. So let's answer those. Okay, people are lining up now. So there is an anonymous attendee who says, it was great to see how much fun you had with the lowercase a and g. Which glyph was the bane of this project? Like, what did you hate drawing? Like, I can volunteer. I always hate drawing numerals. So for sure, you guys have something you hate to draw, no? I mean, or if not, maybe just a little bit dislike, or like one that you give the other one.
If you have a glyph that you hate the most, let's jump to this slide with the glyph. I don't have such because I'm mostly talking, and I don't hate letters anymore when I'm not making them.
Well, for sure, the snake-shaped letters like the S, and for sure maybe the 8. The numerals, I don't like really the numerals, but especially 8, because it mixes all the problems of S and the X also.
Everything that you hate.
Everything you hate. But there is another really fun story that I can mention, talking about the work on these tapes. I really didn't like working in 4 masters. Like that's quite a lot. Every change you make it 4 times. and there is one in the last part of the process. I was working quite intense, like all day, all night on this font, and working in these 4 masters, and doing everything 4 times, everything you do 4 times. And at what point I started like getting crazy. Every time I go to like brush my teeth, and I think, okay, now brush them 3 more times. Okay, my mind was just making these little glitches. Okay,
are you
now
pressing?
doing 4 times.
Are you pressing command 1, command 2, command 3,
Yeah,
command
yeah,
4
yeah,
in
yeah,
your
yeah.
head while you're doing things? Yeah,
Totally.
you hate so much number 8 that you didn't include it in this slide.
Yeah.
I
On
see
purpose.
that. You gave me this slide, and I didn't see that we don't have 8 there. But yeah, and I remember.
But it still looks good. Yeah.
It looks. And I remember how I give you hard times about the S a little bit, but the S is really beautiful right now.
In the end, I
So
think, yeah.
it's worth it. Yeah.
No, and just for your comfort, you're not the only one who hates the S. It's typically one of the like most hated, or and if you go to Rome, the S's, they're all upside down and falling backwards or falling forwards. So even the Romans couldn't get them right, and they are the ones who made the Roman capitals. So, the source of our inspiration, and even they have trouble with it. But no, this S, I agree. It's Dominic is saying in the chat that it looks gorgeous, and yes, it is gorgeous, and yeah, amazing. We have a question from Barry. He says, was there a particular character you were satisfied with that led and influenced the entire typeface design?
Well, maybe again the G and the S in a way also, because if we return to one of the like 2 or 3 slides up from this, yeah, the S was for a long time in the beginning was with the serifs pointing inwards, which is quite more typical and normal. But then at one point I thought, yeah, why not make them point outwards? And actually this decision influenced a lot the C and some other letters as well. But as you see, it didn't influence the F, because I thought, yeah, for some letters it might be pointing inwards, for some it might be pointing outwards, depending on what kind of shape is in there. So I really tried with this typeface to not really follow the design rules that the C and the S have to have the absolutely same terminal. Well, maybe they don't.
Well,
maybe in some situations it could be.
I'm a bad typography cop, so if things go too crazy, I still want to have some rules here and there. And for the terminals, it was really logical, right? If you can see the development from the first row to the last one, actually the terminals were pointing inwards, and slowly but steady, most of the letters they expanded, and we wanted to make them outward because it just helps the flow of the text. Like, we wanted to make it more dynamic, as I said, and when they were pointing inward, I think that they were choked. They couldn't breathe.
Yeah, in a way they are stopping this dynamic.
Yeah, so I wanted the letters to breathe.
Nice. We have questions. One question: is there Vietnamese in the typeface? Or
is there
Vietnamese support?
Not for now, but why not?
But maybe. Okay. Then there is a recommendation from Germany, from Robert, I guess. And for some reason I can't read this right, but he says that the S set, I guess the S set has the form of German capital S set. Maybe you can check that. So I'm not really sure, because maybe the uppercase and the lowercase. Maybe Robert could like explain a little bit more just what he means by that. It could be that he wants the new S, capital S set form for the Schaffes S. But anyway, so that's from Robert. And then Sylvia is asking, is there a variable font version for the Gwen text? But I guess Gwen text and Gwen, they're all in the variable, right?
Yeah.
So there is only one variable for all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, one variable with two axes, one optical size, one weight.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent, excellent.
And as said, yeah, I tried many different options, and this is the one that I think in the end suits best the design.
The design. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Excellent. I think these are the questions. We're a little bit over time. So if anybody, wait, let me just check to make sure. Yeah, these are all the questions. I'm just making sure that we've answered everyone. Yeah, thank you so much for everyone who has joined us. Thank you, Pavel and Plamen, for the wonderful presentation and giving us a sneak preview, of what is in the font, what we can do with it, and telling us the story of how it came to be. It's wonderful to see amazing collaborations between designers, even during horrible times like COVID lockdown, but something good came out of it. We're looking for that silver lining, right? And I do find, at least for me as well, that type design is a way to sometimes persevere, in spite of everything else that happens all around. There's a meditative quality to type design, and once you are in it, you sort of forget everything else, which I think we're all lucky, all of us who work with type or are designing type. There is beauty there that can help take away a little bit from the lack of beauty outside in times like these. But this is also one of the reasons to celebrate as well, that something so great has come out, and this is, yeah, absolutely wonderful, and with a lot of charm, with a lot of distinctive edge to it, and it just shines. So congratulations on the new release. And just a reminder, there's only 30, the voucher code works for only 30 people. So if you do want it, you will have to get it quickly. But anyways, thank you for your generosity as well, for giving that to the audience today, and thank you for everyone who showed up and everyone watching after. So yeah, thank you. And this concludes the second day of Font Fashion Week, and I will see you, Plamen, tomorrow. You will be the first talk of the third day, right? Silverstone. Excellent. Okay, good. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.